You emerge from your wax cell, and boom, you're already facing your first assassination attempt. Welcome to the wonderful world of being a queen bee larva, where your own sisters want you dead before you even get a chance to stretch your tiny legs. The worker bees are feeding you this special goop called royal jelly, and you're thinking, wow, VIP treatment already? Wrong. This stuff is basically steroids for bees, forcing you to grow at warp speed while your future subjects are already plotting your demise. See, the hive doesn't need multiple queens. That would be chaos, and bees hate chaos more than they hate wasps. So while you're still developing in your royal cell, other queen larvae are growing in cells right next to yours. The race is on, and whoever emerges first gets to play a real-life version of whack-a-mole with their siblings. Fun family dynamics, right? After 16 days of speed growing on your royal jelly diet, you finally chew your way out of your cell. Your first instinct? Find those other queen cells and introduce yourself with your stinger. You prowl around the hive, guided by some ancient instinct, until you find another sealed queen cell. You sting right through the wax, injecting venom into your unborn sister. One down, possibly several more to go. Sometimes you'll emerge at the same time as another queen, and then it's gladiator time. 2 queens enter, 1 queen leaves. You circle each other, wings buzzing, abdomens curved, looking for an opening. When you clash, it's violent and quick. Your stinger, unlike worker bees, doesn't have barbs, so you can sting repeatedly without dying. Convenient for a murder spree, less convenient for your sisters. Once you've eliminated the competition, congratulations, you're now the undisputed queen of about 60,000 subjects who will literally work themselves to death for you. Sounds great until you realize what comes next. The workers start pushing you around, and not in a mean way, but in a, hey, time to go get knocked up by multiple dudes way. They're practically shoving you toward the hive entrance because it's time for your nuptial flight. You've never flown before. You've barely even walked around the hive. And now you're expected to launch yourself into the sky for the most important event of your life. No pressure. The workers are buzzing excitedly, releasing pheromones that basically announce to every drone within a 5-mile radius that there's a virgin queen ready to party. You take off, and suddenly you're surrounded by hundreds of male bees, all competing for the chance to mate with you. This isn't some romantic courtship. This is a high-altitude chase scene where the fastest, strongest drones get to pass on their genes. Here's where it gets weird. When a drone successfully mates with you, his reproductive organs literally explode and break off inside you. He falls to the ground, dead, with his guts hanging out. And you? You just keep flying, looking for the next suitor. You'll mate with 12 to 20 drones during this flight, each one meeting the same explosive end. By the time you return to the hive, you're carrying enough sperm to last your entire lifetime. We're talking millions of sperm stored in a special organ called the spermatheca. You'll never mate again, so this one flight better count. Back at the hive, your subjects are waiting. The workers immediately start tending to you, feeding you, grooming you, and most importantly, preparing you for your new career as an egg-laying machine. Within days, you start your real job, pumping out eggs like a biological factory. We're talking up to 2,000 eggs per day during peak season. That's more than your own body weight in eggs every single day. Your abdomen swells to grotesque proportions. You can barely move. The workers have to push you from cell to cell as you mechanically deposit egg after egg after egg. Your entire existence revolves around reproduction. The workers feed you constantly, processing pollen and nectar into special secretions just for you. They even digest your food for you because apparently chewing is too much effort when you're busy being a 24/7 egg dispenser. You don't get coffee breaks. You don't get weekends. You just lay eggs, eat pre-digested food, and occasionally release some pheromones to keep everyone in line. Speaking of pheromones, that's basically your only form of communication and control. You're pumping out chemical signals that tell the workers what to do, when to do it, and how to feel about it. Your queen mandibular pheromone keeps the workers sterile and devoted. Without it, they'd start laying their own eggs, and the whole social structure would collapse faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. But here's the catch. You're not really ruling anything. You're more of a prisoner than a monarch. The workers decide everything. They choose which cells you'll lay eggs in. They determine when the hive needs new queens. They even decide when you're too old and need to be replaced. Yeah, you heard that right. When your egg production starts declining, Usually after 2 to 5 years, your loyal subjects turn on you faster than you can say, "Royal jelly." They'll start raising new queens to replace you. This process is called supersedure, which is a fancy way of saying planned regicide. The workers build special queen cells, and you're expected to lay eggs in them, essentially signing your own death warrant. Sometimes you don't even get the dignity of a proper coup. If you're injured or sick, the workers might just ball you. They'll surround you in a tight ball of bodies, vibrating their flight muscles until the heat literally cooks you alive. It takes about 20 minutes. Your loyal subjects become your executioners, and there's nothing you can do about it. But wait, it gets better. Sometimes the hive decides to swarm. When resources are plentiful and the colony is thriving, half your workers will decide it's time to find a new home. They'll force you to slim down by putting you on a diet because apparently you need to be flight ready. Once you've lost enough weight to fly again, they'll chase you out of the hive along with about 30,000 of your workers. You have no say in this. One day you're laying eggs in your comfortable hive. The next you're clinging to a tree branch while scouts look for a new home. Your old hive? They're already raising your replacement. The workers you left behind will have a new queen within weeks, and they won't even remember you existed. Meanwhile, you're starting from scratch, in whatever hollow tree or abandoned mailbox your scouts deemed suitable. The first few weeks in a new hive are brutal. The workers have to build new comb from scratch while you immediately need to start laying eggs to build up the population. No honeymoon period, no housewarming party, just straight back to being an egg factory in less comfortable surroundings. As years pass, your egg-laying rate inevitably declines. You might notice the workers aren't as attentive. They're not feeding you as much. They're not responding to your pheromones as quickly. Some are even starting to develop their own ovaries, a sure sign that your chemical control is weakening. You're still pumping out eggs, but maybe only a few hundred a day instead of thousands. The workers start giving you side-eye, whispering in their waggle dances about your performance metrics. Then, one day, you notice new queen cells being built. Not emergency cells for swarming, but supersedure cells right in the middle of the brood nest. The workers are feeding royal jelly to new larvae, your replacements. You could try to destroy these cells, and sometimes queens do, but the workers will just build more. They've made their decision. Your reign is coming to an end. You continue laying eggs, pretending nothing's wrong, while your executioners grow stronger in their cells. When the new queens emerge, you might think there'd be an epic showdown. Sometimes there is, but more often, the workers simply stop feeding you. They ignore your pheromones. They might even start dragging you toward the entrance. You're too weak to fight back, too heavy to fly away. The new queen emerges, young and vigorous, pumping out fresh pheromones that make the workers forget you ever existed. If you're lucky, you'll just waste away in a corner of the hive. If you're unlucky, the new queen will find you and finish the job herself. And just when you're taking your last breath, surrounded by the workers who once served you so devotedly, you hear the new queen already starting her egg-laying routine. The cycle continues. Long live the queen, until she doesn't. Your entire life was spent as a reproductive appliance, and your reward? Being disposed of like a broken printer when you can't keep up with the output quota? Next time someone calls you queen bee as a compliment, maybe remind them that actual queen bees are prisoners in their own castle, egg-laying slaves who get murdered by their own children. Suddenly being employee of the month doesn't sound so bad. At least Karen from accounting won't ball you to death when your productivity drops.